Dropping a paintbrush.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Everybody check your clocks. You'll see it is time for art. I'm your host, Hershey Petty, and you might ask, what is time for art if this is your first time here? We are a live, on-demand art class that comes direct to you so that you always have time for art. You know, maybe you're not making art right now because you don't know what to draw, or you don't have the supplies, or you just don't have the time. You need time for art if you can identify with any of those three statements. When you subscribe for Time for Art, we send direct to your doorstep each month a box filled with everything that you need to make paintings you can be proud of. We do 3 paintings a month. 2 of them are guided by our resident artist, Allison Prairie. She's the original. She does the artwork, and then she teaches us how to do it. And then the third piece, which is what we're doing today, this is the last week of the month, is an original piece. So we're very excited about that. We'll talk about more about that in a little bit. And what comes with the subscription also are these live streams. Twice a week, we meet on Mondays and Wednesday nights, and Allison goes through different techniques and styles and different tips and tricks and shows us how to paint like a real artist. And, you know, I, for one, as some of our subscribers already know, I started identifying as an artist after taking a few months of this class. So, and if you are still worried that you may not have enough time, all of these videos are available for you on our YouTube and our Facebook channels. You just have to search Time for Art subscriptions, and you'll find all of these tutorials right there for you. We're so glad you guys are here. Today is August 24th. It's a Wednesday, so it's a paint day. We're going to be watching Allison and following along if you like, as Allison does her original piece this month. The template for what she's doing was made available in our subscriber group. So if you downloaded that and you want to follow along, kudos to you. If not, you can do this later. Don't forget to download that template. So we're going to paint along with her tonight, and she's going to show us exactly how she does certain things. So we're very excited about that. And as always, there are no rules here. Just have a good time. Say hi to us in the comment section if you so decide to do so, because we really love to hear from you guys and whatnot. So say hey to us there. And while you guys all get set up with your paints, your brushes, your canvas, your template, whatever it is that you need, you're going to do, whatever you're going to paint tonight, while you guys get set up, let's say hi to our resident artist, Allison Prairie. Hi, Al.
Hey, Hershey, how are you?
I'm very, very good.
I'm so glad you are so good. Yeah, this is our last painting night for, I want to say 6 weeks. Oh, we are going to, we're going to be live. We're going to be doing things. Don't worry, you're going to get sick of us. We're going to be doing, like, we'll let everybody know. We'll announce it to the subscriber group when we're going live and when that's going to be. But yeah, we're taking a little break to launch our 2.0 series. So just a moment to just say thank you to everybody who's hung with us and having a good time and giving us feedback. And we are outrageously excited for,
Allison, thank you for bringing that up. I also want to say a special thank you to everyone who provided feedback. That is invaluable to us. It helps us grow, and the good and the bad. We want it all. We want it all. So thank you very much.
While we've got everybody's attention on that, feedback we're interested in, if you want to find a way to message us or post it or however it goes, we'll
take it.
Available. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Would you like to see less projects? Would you like to see more interactive kind of critique style stuff? Would you like to see more time? We've gotten some suggestions to spread out the projects more. We've gotten some suggestions to do 1 night a week, but longer, things like that. That's the kind of thing we want to hear. And so if you are one of these subscribers who hasn't told us yet, we want to know. We want to hear from you. If bring on more, but what we're getting is more demonstrations, more structured projects, less as much as everybody likes original painting. I think we're getting that people do less of that, and they like more instructional stuff.
Yeah.
And that 1 night a week might be better than 2, and to kind of spread our projects out. So that's That's what we're hearing. So if that's
yeah, and you know, just
Tell us, it's not
on
the
that
case.
one point you made was that about the more interactive critique stuff. It would,
Mhm.
this is something that I've been really excited about that
Yeah.
I get to do. And it would be like everybody on a Zoom together, and we would go through everybody's artwork. You'd show what
Right.
you did, and we'd each it would, so it wouldn't be like how it is right now, where Allison and I are talking together and we're getting feedback from you via the comments. You guys would be with us, you know,
On your
live.
own, it's not live on the internet. That's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like just us somewhere.
Yep. Private.
On a Zoom, private. So there's that. So for example, something Hershey and I'm going to go ahead and say it, even though we haven't talked about it recently. We're going to take Hershey's House of Windsor series, and we're going to have both images up, and we're just going to talk a little bit about like some things, like some adjustments he can make to make the drawings more accurate. Like that's one of the things Hershey and I are going to do one of the weeks that we aren't doing a painting box. So food for thought. That's one example. So yeah. So all of that, amazing. We still love you. In the event that you've subscribed and you somehow got charged, because it's kind of a tricky thing in our system, I promise you, you will either not be charged or refunded for your September box. And we'll go from there. So
you know what? Actually, while we're still on that point, I just want to let you know the comment section is a buzz. So, you know, Ruth chimed in. Hi, Ruth. She's chimed in and said that it's been a blast for her for the last 6 months. So she's, you know, she says hurrah. And Julie's there, so I want to say hi to her as well. And then there was one more thing. Oh, Ruth also mentioned, she said more critiquing.
Yeah. So that's what we're kind of thinking about doing, is a kind of maybe twice a month we have a scheduled critique. One is maybe where we just talk and we share stuff. One is maybe where we plan something, maybe someone submits something and we do a more structured critique. And we are all in the positive here, so no one ever has to worry about that. But also critiquing etiquette's a very real thing, and it's something I'd like to pass on to everyone, because it is, it's good in art and in life. And just going to an art museum, especially like you like to go see contemporary stuff, like you like to go to like the Whitney or the Guggenheim or the MoMA or the what's in Chicago, the contemporary art, MCA. The acronym is what I was having a hard time with. That stuff that's kind of going on right now, that hasn't necessarily been, I mean, you could certainly critique work that is 100, hundreds of years old, that you can have whatever opinion you want of that, right? But definitely it's very cool to kind of have an opinion on art that's happening right now. Think film critic, think, Harper's Bazaar, think. And so with that, you can, if you want to write about it in your life or your blogs or things like that, we can teach you kind of the critiquing etiquette that comes along with that. And so it's a good approach to having an opinion on things and having an informed opinion on things. And
that's really cool that there's a critiquing etiquette. I like that.
Absolutely. I learned it far better in high school than I did in college. I had an unbelievable high school art teacher who very much taught this. We followed it, and critiques didn't matter then. They do matter in college. It should have been the other way around. And yeah, so it's
I think we should adopt critiquing etiquette in more facets of our life. Like, you shouldn't be like if you think someone's a bad driver, for instance, there should be a way to say that just really kind of conveys the message without offending. Yeah.
So the first thing you do in critiquing etiquette is you just describe what you see. And so take, for example, if you're a bad driver, you give a detailed account.
Right.
Of what just went down.
And when everyone has those rules around the critiquing, it's, you know what to expect. So when someone says, oh, I noticed that you were going too fast or you cut this car off, it's like, well, you knew that person was going to say that because that person's required to say that per etiquette.
So I saw right here that this car was in this place and you left next to no room after you accelerated.
and 10 minutes ago, you complained that someone left no room for you. So
yeah.
You're wrong.
We're going to start there now.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of we can set up this kind of for some.
I'm so excited for that. I feel like it's going to, for me personally, I think it's going to inspire me to critique more art.
it can even be as simple as this is a pencil drawing. That's how we start. Like, and that informs what you're talking about though. Like it's an important.
Yeah. Right. Right. How exciting.
And the more you dig into stuff like this, the more you really do appreciate art that's around you.
Yep.
And you can love it all, right? Or you can be like, you know what? This does not have the same, like, and you'll get the words for it, right? But this is not to the degree of sophistication as something else. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you why.
I like it.
And you'll have reason. And your opinion counts like anyone else does. But if you can put it in a better context.
And it's really good to hear what other people think about your art. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're starting out. That's one of the things that, you know, when I, as I mentioned in our opening in February, I took the plunge and started identifying as an artist. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that was really holding me back from doing that was, what are people going to think when I tell them I'm an artist? And if they look at my art and they think they're like, oh, that's not good art, or, you know, whatever, all the, you know, thoughts of not good enough I had in my head. And, you know, to be able to know what people are saying about your art, I think would for me personally, I think would give me more confidence.
And I will argue on that same point, but a little differently. My art isn't good enough. It is critiquing language that can even tell you, well, my art is consistent in these regards. So you might not think it's good enough, but what I use color as a sense of emotional language in my work for the following reasons, right? And so critiquing gives you that because it kind of makes you figure some of that out.
Yeah, for yourself.
For yourself.
And your own work.
And then if you want to show it, right? Or you like you want to hang it in a coffee shop, which I've done. Or you want to
yeah,
like put it in a gallery, which I've done, or sell it in a tent, which I've done, or things like that, right? Yeah. It's fun to sell art in a tent. Hershey knows.
Oh yeah.
It was a scorcher.
Sweltering heat. That's the only way to go.
I remember it was one of those things where it was a scorcher and it was so humid, and it rained. And Hershey shows up soaked because it rained out of. But it was such as like, it was so humid he couldn't dry off.
Yeah. There was no drying off. You just had to you just
stayed hot and wet.
Into your wetness. Yep.
Wasn't good. Yeah. But you know, how far we've come, Hershey Petty.
Yeah.
Right. So I am copying what we did before. I painted a little more on it, and I'll talk a little bit about that.
I'm really interested to see. We're not going to do an underwater thing. It's just all going to be one plane, right?
All going to be water.
Yeah.
There's no horizon line. That's how I'd categorize it.
Right. Okay, cool. That's a good way to.
So this is what we did. This was the template provided. These are the two we drew last Monday. We did a water transition accidentally, but we liked it, so we kept it. For the final painting, though, we decided that actually the warmer color should be in front and the cooler color should be back. So we're going to reverse these. We're going to put the purple down here and blue up here. Then, after everybody left, I outlined it in ink, and I did this kind of wave texture that I think will be super cool, but I liked doing it at the end, so I'm not copying that yet.
Yeah.
And then... for now.
Allison, real quick question. Yeah. Do you ever just put paint to canvas without any sort of drawing down?
You guys want to know something funny? Yes, but rarely not. But yes, I had this under here. I had my graphite paper underneath this when I copied it. It did a template. It did a transfer.
Nice.
Isn't that funny? We'll go over it this way. But yeah, goes to show you, be careful when you transfer. It's
right.
Okay. So I'm going to transfer this again, and I want to go really simplified with it. Like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time.
And this is a portrait again, right? Or is it landscape?
This is portrait orientation. And I'll send just a picture of this page if that's helpful to everyone.
Oh, Nana Brown's on. She said hello. Michelle Poor is here.
Fantastic. I got to see Michelle Poor at her beautiful log cabin home yesterday. And we talked and laughed and talked about art. I got to see her stuff in the flesh.
Oh, nice. How was she? I know she's listening, so we're talking about her like she's not here right now, but like when she was showing her art, I talked to some of the subscribers and they're just like, don't show this or, whatever. They just want someone to see it, but not everybody. And I wonder how Michelle is. Cause I'm like, here's my art world. Yeah.
Very free with her work. Yeah.
Right. That's cool.
And it's really, really beautiful and really textured. She really embraces texture. And you get to kind of see that when you see it in the flesh. And her own style. And we talked a little bit about that and how everybody's style really kind of is emerging. And something I'm sure I've said it, but something I really kind of like about what we do is you can watch these videos over and over and over again, and you can try, you can try doing things the way I do it or differently, but then you're left to your own devices. And if we do some of these critique nights, I just really want to emphasize this. It's not going to be to make your work look any more like mine. We want you to turn into your style, not away from it. And so with that,
point.
And so that's what's really cool about this is I'm not going around correcting anyone's work like you might get in a different kind of context. And that's can be good in certain instances. Like if someone's had an art class like that or is taking one like that, that doesn't mean stop doing it. But something cool about what we do is we talk to each other and we're going to make ourselves more available to do some of that. But after that, you do your work and it's going to be the decisions you make. And I think it's a really good kind of hybrid of having an interactive class and getting a lot of demonstration and instruction and opportunity, but then doing your own thing.
I think that's such a great point. That the critiquing isn't about like how well you've copied somebody else's. The critiquing is about you finding your own style and where are the things that, that you maybe you saw or didn't see, or maybe other people see that, all that.
How can we make your work, I've missed it twice. How can we make your painting as successful as possible? A really good example of a very good critiquing etiquette. Does anyone watch Project Runway? And I know there's making the cut now that's got Tim and Heidi, and I'm sure that's every bit as good. But Tim Gunn is an excellent critiquer because he goes around and what's really good about it is he doesn't critique like what your work could have been. Like, had you done this? And it's like, well, that's a really ridiculous conversation.
Yeah, right.
All right. We're not talking about the, coulda, woulda, shouldas here, right? We're talking about okay, so we got this down. I just want to show everybody very graphic, very stylized. I'll change some things here. That looks a little wonky.
Yeah.
But that's how that looks. And it's exactly how I want it to. With the exception of, where did I put this top sheet? Oh, it's still attached.
Tim Gunn, of course, he would be a great critiquer. He's just such a lovely human.
Such a lovely human. And it's like he really does want everyone to succeed, which is what any good teacher should want. And if you really want everyone to succeed, you don't try and make them different from who they are. You want them to succeed at who they are. Okay, so I am going to snap a picture of exactly this so we can put this on our page. If anyone wants to transfer from this, they can before we get going. All right. Now I just want to kind of show what our inspiration was. And we really liked this one. And I like this one because it's figures. And some of the things I want to talk about here, and this is what good critiquing teaches you, is what do you see? Well, I see a stylized image. The face is not necessarily representational. The eye's kind of in an odd spot, or in a spot that's not like how life looks. The nose is in a certain spot. The torso is very elongated. That's not necessarily wrong. It's just certainly not how mine looks. Really, there's two colors that are used to show light and shadow in kind of each shape region, right? So there's two colors on the tank, on the bathing suit area. There's two colors in the skin. And then there's a third color that's not one of the two colors to show underwater. And that's consistent across the board. So the hair is the same color as the arms, is the same color as the legs. And then you could go on to say, is that successful? I'd say in this context, yes. I'd say in this context, it's not going to be, because we need to show that these figures have different clothes on. So it's not going to work for us, but that's kind of cool. Okay. And then it's got these kind of sort of echo marks that are showing waves, and they're just lines, right? They're white lines, and they're the same white lines, it appears, as are in the white bathing suit. So we have that too. So that's kind of the start of a critique, right? On this one, we have the images underwater, and the most contrast is in the closest one, and the lowest contrast is in the furthest one, right? Yeah. So in this case, that's the whale underneath, and what appears to be closest by is the whale right underneath the boat, and very subtly is the one farther away. So that's something we can take from that. And on this one, kind of the same thing. This has a lot more shadows though. And this one had these kind of wavy textures we liked. So keeping those in mind, keep that guy right there. Let's paint.
Let's do it.
You know, we want this transition. And so the first two things I'm going to mix are I've got cobalt blue, and I'm going to go cobalt blue and violet.
Okay.
This is just paint we've used through the year. You know, everybody's got some of this at this point. We're going to get some white out. And I'm going to do kind of a pea's worth of white in each one and give it a mix.
And this is cobalt blue and white.
Yep. And you don't have to do this, but if you have it, this is kind of how the rest of this month, or we're just going to be using paint that everybody's had every color at least once at this point that we work with.
Nice.
So on account of that, we're going to get started. All right. So I'm going to start because I've got this on my brush. And I say it every week, and I'll say it again. It is always easier to pull a line
than it is to push a line.
And
if you don't believe us, try it.
Yeah. Let me get used to it. And it doesn't even have a lot to do with a shaky hand, if you think you have one. It just kind of has more to do with kind of embracing the movement of your brush and kind of moving with it.
And friction, you know?
Yes. Friction's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so excited for this is the first I've heard about the critiquing etiquette, and I just am so excited about that.
And you know, just I don't know if this is why it's done like this, and I might even reach out to my high school art teacher because I kept my book from high school that taught us this.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna go back to that, but I might reach out to Mrs. Haynes and say, do I have this right? Because it was not reiterated to me in college.
Right.
And something I really like where you just start with describe what you see. There's something really great about everyone kind of getting on the same page about what we're looking at in front of us.
Yep.
And I think it would be really nice and indicative of life if we could do more of that, where we sit down and we say, okay, let's all just get on the same, like the sky is blue and the grass is green. Can we agree on that? Okay. Now we'll start talking about how we feel about those things. But that's maybe one of the reasons that you start there. I don't know.
That's so funny. Can we agree on that?
Let's find something. We're just going to describe what we see before we start saying how we feel about what we see.
That's a really good practice.
Yeah. And so I
know we're going to get into it later, but like, does everyone go around and do that first step together, or does one person go through all the steps of etiquette and then the next person goes through all the steps?
So the way we would do it in high school,
Mhm.
well, one, we were taught this. I don't know if we were tested on it, but it was a very real class where we were graded.
Yeah.
And yeah, there would be one person leading the critique, and then you would engage the group as you went.
Okay.
And so I'd be like, okay, Allison's gonna lead the critique on Hershey's House of Windsor collection. And I'd start by saying, because okay, good example in this instance, maybe not everyone knows the royals are the House of Windsor. They haven't heard that. Doesn't make them dumb.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean, whatever. They don't know what Windsor means. They don't know. So maybe one of the things you'd start with saying is, I see an older person, a younger, an older appears to be a female, children, all those kind of things, right? Their portraits, yeah. And then you might say, I see that Hershey's named this. I'm making more of this color, everybody. The House of Windsor, that looks to be because he's drawing pictures of the royals, right? Or if everybody knows that, you don't have to kind of like be idiots about it. Like, you don't have to always pretend like you don't know anything. You can kind of very simply say, Hershey has decided to depict the royals in graphite drawings. It
can be as simple as what you literally see.
What you see. Yeah. But sometimes something, as simple as that gets you going in the right direction.
Sure.
Right.
But so my question would be that, let's say that it's me, you, Michelle Poor, Julie Crary from Crown Point, Nana Brown, and I'm leading the discussion or the critique of your work. And I see this or whatever. Then does Nana Brown go ahead and tell us what she sees, or does everyone just kind of listen to what I say?
Well, then you'd engage the group, right?
Okay,
so this is where you would start. And then again, depending kind of, it's a little dealer's choice or a little like, what you want it to be, right? But on that, you'd say, okay, who else sees something? Or Nana Brown, what do you think? What do you think I might have left out? Or who wants to talk about what textures they see? Like there's ways to engage the group.
Yeah. That makes
sense.
All
right. Yeah. So everybody, I've kind of filled in this background and I like it. I like these colors.
The more purple color there, what did you add with the cobalt blue to make it a little more purple?
Violet.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. And so I've got flesh tint, which is my least favorite color because one color is flesh tint is ridiculous. Then if you take a look at the flesh tint, it's like carnation pink.
Yeah.
No one's flesh is this color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a newborn baby. I don't know. Okay, so I don't care a whole lot for flesh tint, but we're going to use it up because I don't care a lot for flesh tint and I have a lot left over. So there we go. And I'm going to use some burnt umber, which is kind of an orange.
I have to turn on my light. Maybe it's because of the storm. There's not enough sunlight anymore in my dining room for this. There we go.
I hear you. All right. So I'm going to mix these. And yeah, I like that color. That can be someone's skin tone. And then let's add a little bit of yellow ochre to that. Another one.
Oh, that can be someone's skin tone.
That can be somebody. This one could be somebody's skin tone. All right, I like that. And then I had the burnt umber out. Here we go. This too can be somebody's skin tone. So those are our skin colors. And then there's going to be a lighter version of all these skin colors. So kind of like this painting. I'm going to go 2 colors for all of the regions. And I'm calling regions like bathing suit area.
Yep. You know, Allison, I'd like to give you a critique. I personally think it's so helpful, and it really drives home the points that you're trying to make when you bring in other art from other artists that also have the same techniques. It shows me in ways that I don't think I would grasp as fully so quickly so I appreciate that a lot.
Well, I love to do it for a lot of reasons. One, there's just so much good art to take in. I just love doing it. Right? And then when you talk about it and then you get into critiquing etiquette, you can't not like it. Things you didn't think you liked, you end up liking. I like it. You do. Like, all right, like you might have, you didn't know how you felt about Jackson Pollock until you dig into it, and then you start taking some of it apart, and then you're like, maybe I do like it. Yeah. Right. And so that's a really fun thing to do. And the other reason is, even if it's not work that you are interested in making, or you want to copy that style or take something from it, which is totally an okay thing to do. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. It's how things go.
Yeah.
Right. It's just good to see how your work fits in the context of some other work that's getting made.
I can see that. I can understand why that would be important.
And it's where it's just an important opinion, or just an important place to ground yourself in. And it doesn't mean change it. It just means that your work is going to exist. You're going to do your work like this, but look at how it sort of is harmonious or in discord or clashes with some of the other work that's going on right now.
Yeah, that also helps you to find a style.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you can find a style, but and so like another really good thing to do is to like copy someone's style. Like figure out what they've done, and just for the exercise of it, copy it as exactly as possible. And learn from it. Yeah. Don't call it your own. Call it, I copied this person. This was the inspiration, and this is what I did with it, and this is what I learned from it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a great thing to do. You can also, this was a really good teacher I had in college, you can copy like a corner of someone's piece. Like you don't have to do the whole thing. Like, this is a really cool piece I found. It's contemporary. This guy's in Brooklyn doing murals, right? I'm not going to make a mural and copy somebody's mural. That's too much work.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to take this corner of the mural and copy it exactly.
And what does that do for someone when they're like, why would one artist choose to do that?
I'm going to say it's like learning Freebird on the guitar.
Oh, got you. Okay.
You might not like classic art, or classic rock. You might want to do like acoustic country stuff, right? Cool. All right. It's still a good idea to learn how to play Freebird.
Right.
And for some reason, the visual arts want to tell you that's like plagiaristic or copying, and no other art form is like that.
Right.
Music, theater, film, like obviously you're gonna mimic other things, right? So for some reason, if you're painting something, it's like, well, you didn't make that. Well, yeah, no. Especially if you're being really like, this is a copy or a tribute, or yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's a really good thing to do. Or let's say you really want your work to sound like classic rock. You want to play Freebird, right? Like, yeah. It's probably a good idea to give it a try. Like,
Right. How do you know you want to play classic rock unless you played classic rock?
Yeah. And then maybe try and like another good example would be like learn it tight, learn it loose, learn it with, a bass player. Don't like that's kind of the point, right?
Yep. Kind of like here in our live streams, like there are no rules, just to have a good time. Like if I wasn't enjoying what I was painting, I wouldn't paint.
Right. But the only feedback I'm going to give you on that is if you're like, I don't want to paint the figures underwater, you can still get something from it, but maybe don't do the whole thing. Maybe just do this one.
What do you, like do one of the figures?
Like, yeah, like we might not be rocking your world every week with what we've chosen. I like to think we are, but like, yeah, there's still something to be learned from it, but maybe you don't do the whole thing. Maybe you just do like part of it and get whatever you're going to get from it.
Wow, you're a better teacher than I even thought. And I thought you were the best art teacher I've ever had.
I might be the best art teacher you've ever had.
You are, yeah, for sure. 100%.
How many we had?
I've had one. And she's the best.
And if you didn't like it, and if you're like, debatable.
When you have the best as your first one, you don't need any more. You're done.
And I've had people be like, I have I think Ruth told us before, she really likes to actually like put the whole grid in. Awesome.
Yeah, right.
Good. Like you're going to learn whatever you like take from me. And then you're going to make the decisions you make. And that's just one example.
Are you doing these are the skin tones for just the underwater people, right? Not the people above water?
I'm going to make them siblings and this color.
Okay, gotcha.
No one is straight up flesh tint for a variety of reasons. One, they wouldn't look like people because our flesh tint color.
They would never be in the sun.
Yeah. Two, if you were that pink.
Never.
Yeah. Stick with the basement. And 3. Yeah. It's just not good. So we're gonna say these guys are not a couple.
Do you remember what painting it was what month it was that we sent out flesh tone to everybody?
Ugh. I mean, we're gonna do it because we use all our colors, but
yeah, we have to, right?
I always apologize. I'm sorry, this color is called flesh tint. It does not reflect the views of Time for Art subscription.
Yeah, right. I would really like to see the flesh tone of the person who named this flesh tone.
We're very sorry. So, yeah. And someday when we can private label our own paint.
Ooh.
I promise you there will be nothing.
I was going to say, I was about to ask you, what would you call this? And I was like, she'd call it carnation pink because
we call it carnation pink.
Carnation pink.
And I would say that since no one's flesh tone is, maybe except for these siblings, really the same color, and
right,
my brother's a lot more olive than I am, so there's that.
I'm certainly not the same flesh tone as my siblings.
So yeah, that's not even a guarantee. We won't be referencing anyone's flesh. When we name our paint someday. It'll be a good day. We get to name our paint. Okay. And so since we're kind of using all the colors here, and this is not necessarily going to be the most limited color palette painting, but Fun. Yes.
Ruth just asked real quick how Roscoe was. I just gave you guys an update. He was neutered yesterday. He is wearing the cone of shame, and he absolutely hates it. And I actually think that he's so smart that he is making me understand how much he hates it, because he'll come up and push that cone into me with such force that I'm like, ow, ow, ow. And he's just trying to like get a pet, getting love. And I'm like, he's trying to let me know how bad this is.
Yeah.
So that's how Roscoe's doing. Thank you for asking, Ruth.
Marvin did better because he had like a yucky on his underside.
Oh, he did.
When I adopted him, it wasn't related, we don't think, to being neutered, but
Like a
we
skin
got
thing or like a cut thing, like a
yeah, he had like a yeah, something like that, and he's never gotten it again. So I don't know what it was. Like it was
Yeah.
almost like bed sores. If you knew Marvin, it's not the most ridiculous thing to think that
I was
maybe
gonna say that checks out.
maybe it was bed sores.
Checks out.
Yeah, you keep warming that floor. But we went with the life preserver. Have you seen those? Donut.
No.
It looks like a life preserver, but it's like a life preserver necklace.
Oh, okay.
And it's soft.
All righty. So it's soft.
Yeah, look them up. I don't think they're actually called the life preserver, but it's like inflatable.
Because I'll tell you, I wasn't going to say this in the group, but they want me to keep that cone on for 10 whole days. I'm on day 2. I don't know how we're going to do it. He can't go into any rooms. He hits walls with it. And when he hits the wall, it's the saddest thing ever. He just stops and like stops.
Poor baby.
So, and I
Give
think
the life preserver a try.
I'm gonna. That's excellent. Thank you. Thank you for asking me that, Ruth. I would never have gotten that from Alice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, because here's the thing, like you can take it off of them, but then if those stitches get infected, you're like in it longer.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I do not want that embarrassment. Going back in there.
Going back in there as a proud foster
The first thing
father.
they're gonna say is, did you take the cone off? And I'm gonna have to say yes.
You're like, so about that.
Yeah. That cone was really inconvenient for me, so I had to take it off.
And my walls. And
Yeah.
so here we are. Okay, so I've got 2 paddle boards in. I've got the first layer of skin tone in. And here at Time for Art, we watch paint dry. And one of the reasons we do that is so that we can see the inconsistencies and understand that it's going to dry kind of patchier.
Right.
And so I'm going to second coat this guy, these ladies of the sea.
Those paddle boards there, is that 2 different greens or is that one green that you
Different
made
green.
light or darker? Okay, got you.
So I had sap green and I added some cobalt blue to this one. And they're 2 different greens.
Okay.
So there's a second coat on that one. Here's a second coat on this one. And a little bit about, because we're doing our 2.0 series that we're super proud of and excited for. And we're going to market differently. I'm just really excited about it. I got asked what my connection to this project is, but I mean, so many things.
Right.
Something that really resonates with me is access. And one of the reasons really that I get to be an artist and the type of artist I want to be is because I had access to really, really great art instruction. And it's because my family could afford it. And it's because it was oddly available to me in Northwest Indiana. And that's kind of unbelievable. I mean, that I had such access to that. And it's not because I'm any different. I mean, I loved it and I wanted to learn it. And then what you do with your art education is what it's all about, right? It's the work you make. But I could, because I had the chance to learn, it's not talent. Talent's maybe what you do with it afterwards, right? But no, I wanted to learn this and got to because I had access. And that's really at least what I want from this. I want everyone to have access to learning how to draw and paint. And then you can do whatever you want with it after that, but you had access. And so, which is why we try and make this really affordable. We try and make ourselves really available. We try and really turn into demonstrations and do it live and not do, like, again, we tried to be the video people because I think we thought we had to be, or I don't know, but we're not people anymore. And eventually we'd like to be able to really provide boxes to people who can't afford it. We're not going to do that yet, but grow with us. And if you have an internet connection,
you've got our
package, you can do this.
I like that.
And if we all had access to learning the things we want to learn how to do, what would we do?
Yep.
How would that change things?
That's really great. It's a really great point about, I remember someone when there were something like, I think we had like 4 people from my high school go to Harvard. They graduated, they got into Harvard, right? And my sister-in-law said something at the time. She said, that because we know people that went to Harvard, they were our classmates and they went to Harvard, because we know them, we now know that it's possible, or what, like we think that it, or whatnot. And if you don't ever have that, then you don't think anybody can, you could never, if no one ever.
It's ridiculously out of reach, right? Yeah. My row alphabetically in my class, it was, let's see, Carlos, Coolers, Collins, Crary. In that order went Stanford, Indiana graduate, maybe making the most money, Coolest.
Yeah, right.
Harvard, Miami University.
Right. In Ohio, not in Florida.
Not in Florida. Yeah. University of Miami is in Florida.
Yep.
So yeah, access. I tripped over these people.
Right. That's so funny.
But what I can tell you from an art perspective, best education I got, certainly had some great college professors, but was what I had before I got there. And that is what we are doing our best to share.
That's really interesting.
With all of you. Not to say I wouldn't recommend Miami, or I had a great time, learned a lot, but all right. So we got those coming in a little darker. I'm going to wait till these guys dry before I kind of dig back in here. And I'm going to do some bathing suit choices. What colors do we want? We're trying everything out tonight. Then we can decide if it's successful, right? We like to keep our paintings really limited color palette. This one, we're kind of not doing that. So we can critique this and decide if it's successful or not. So let's do bathing suit, top and bottoms, in this color here.
I didn't realize how important the bathing suit color was to me. I had the thought, I got to the part where I wanted to paint the bathing suits just a split second before you did. And I thought to myself, what color do I want to paint these bathing suits? And then I was like, oh, I better wait for Allison. I'm getting ahead of myself.
That is a difficult decision. All right. I'm going to go with kind of a redder purple over here on this bikini group. We didn't go with the rash guard group, and it's a little disappointing.
That color bikini looks really good on that the flesh tone of that young lady.
On the flesh tone? Thank you. I'm sure she'd appreciate that. These guys they're the dorks, right? That aren't swimming underwater.
Yeah.
So they get like red life vests, not cool ones.
We did them a favor and didn't draw the helmets that they're wearing.
Float. Even though it's not darky to paddleboard. Yeah.
I think actual flesh tone might be a good bathing suit color.
I straight up flesh tone because it's not a good skin color. We know that. All right.
I'm finding it much more fascinating to paint these tiny little areas with delicacy and
Yeah, these regions.
Yeah, I love doing that.
And you don't have to do it all at once. You can kind of get them in a few passes. All right, so there's the darky life vests. And I think I'm gonna put him in blue shorts, but like light blue, like powder blue.
Ooh. See, I knew I should have waited for you. I went in and I was making his blue as well. And I just painted him cobalt blue. I'm going to wait and dry and make it powder blue. But,
yeah, that idea.
But yeah, that's a great idea.
So I'm going to make these like this color. And we don't really see her suit, do we?
It doesn't it's not there, but I added a little bottom for her just to, I did. Listen, if she's the person that's not snorkeling or not scuba diving, she's wearing a helmet in the water that we didn't paint.
Yeah, she doesn't want her bum to show.
No, she doesn't. That's not her style.
Not her style. All right. Okay. Now I think we're gonna get into hair color. These guys, I think I'm gonna give them this color. They're brother and sister, and maybe they're twins. I don't know. Obviously fraternal.
Obviously. What color was that you chose?
This is actually the darker flesh tone.
Okay.
I was going to put over here that I originally mixed. It's got some burnt umber in it. Mm-hmm. It's got some of the burnt sienna.
Now, if this color were a dye color that you could find at the store, what would it be called?
A dye color?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
like a coffee color.
Yeah. I think late summer brown.
Okay. Oh, I like it. Okay. So in this case, definitely if you're underwater, the light's coming from above. So.
Are you already highlighting?
I'm shadowing.
Shadowing, because this got you.
Because we know the
light source is above.
Light source is above, and we were going to have this arm poke out, so that'll be a different thing.
Oh, that's right.
Not sure how I'm going to handle that yet.
Same. I'm going to be fascinated to watch. I completely forgot we were doing that. That's such a cool trick that we're doing.
So there we go there. And so underneath this arm, same thing. And underneath her chin. Just like that.
And these shadows are just going on her body from other body parts.
Well, yeah, and just, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just like that. And I'm gonna make her hair this dark color. Maybe mix in some blue. So this is burnt umber, little blue.
That sounds like a really beautiful hair color.
I want my hair this color.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh no, I got to make the shorts even lighter because now they're the same color as the.
Okay, happens. That's okay. What do? We paint right over it.
Yeah. We're gonna watch it dry.
We're gonna watch it
and paint over it.
And actually, you know what? For this series, I think we're going to keep working on this one because we're going to be going into next week, even though we're not sending out new boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll talk about some of the things we want to do with this one.
Oh, okay. I would really like that.
You know, but we don't have to wrap it up this week.
Right.
We might get into our unicorn goats again too.
You know, it kind of creates a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So I think that's how we're going to spend the rest of our days here. And I've got some of this color. I'm going to go underneath here. So it'll be under the arm. So that gives everybody a chance to download this if they want to give it a try.
Just to, I won't talk about Roscoe this anymore, but he's now learned that because on Wednesdays I don't have time from work to get here and then take him out for a walk and blah, blah, blah. So he has to wait all the way through till the end of this whatever. And because he's such a good boy and he does that and he's never had any accidents or whatever, we, after this class is over, we go and get a pup cup.
Oh, from Starbucks. Marvin doesn't know about those. Don't say that too loud.
Yeah, so he has learned that that's coming.
Yeah, and I still don't think that would make Marvin want to take walks. You know, because Marvin walks.
No. If you've ever tried to take Marvin for a walk, you know that there's no incentivizing the walk. It's
yeah. All right, so we got that. And I think I'm going to second coat these guys up here. And then we're right at the 8 o'clock mark. I'm going to let these dry and we'll pull this out next week, Hershey. And we'll work on it some more.
Hey, I love that idea.
Yeah.
I love that idea. Because you know what? You know me, my MO is to like spend the next few hours tonight, you know, before a couple hours before bed on this project again. And there's a lot that I would like to just spend more time, more detail on that before we move on.
Yeah. So we're going to take this far. And we're going to be doing more of this in the future where we don't train wrap everything up every night. And especially when you're making decisions. Yes.
One question I have right now, this has come up for me before, and I want to know what your opinion is. So sometimes I'm attempting to paint a background and I want the background to feel seamless, and I don't, I'm not looking for brush strokes. I'm not looking for whatever, kind of a solid whatever. And I cannot get rid of the brush strokes. And even for this one, I don't know if you can see, but it feels like there's a lot of, and it's also not dry yet, but
Sure. So we'll have a few
wrong.
workarounds there. So one is to base coat the whole thing first in like a milky tone. So if you want a seamless brush stroke, go a shade lighter and base coat it that, and then go over that. Another is to add some white because you're going to get less kind of patchiness.
Yeah.
And then another is be sure to let your coats dry in between. So for example, this is dry right now. I'm going to go in and second coat this with some more of our violet blue.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have enough paint on the brush.
No, I would say it means that you you need more layers of consistency.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Copy
All
that.
right. Well, we are right at 8 o'clock. Thank you all. We're going to keep painting with you. We're going to keep working with you. We're going to keep doing all of this. We're just working on really getting you some really awesome kits for the future. And
yeah. One more thing I want to say to you, by doing this, by waiting till the next week to finish the painting, for our subscribers that take the time and rewatch this video on Saturdays, they'll be able to catch up instead of always doing the project a few days behind.
Exactly.
You're genius.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.